If you have an Arctic Cat with this gauge and you're getting these codes, this video is for you. In this case, you have a 2016 Wildcat Trail 700. You're getting the code PO122, but then you changed out your TPS sensor. Now you have the code PO121. And when you're adding gas or you're giving it throttle, it's not working properly. PO122 is the TPS circuit is low. There may be a short or the plug isn't seated properly, or there's a short in the wiring harness. Basically saying there's a short or the wire is grounding out somewhere. So just go through your wiring harness. You can check for shorts, check all your grounds, make sure they're good. PO123 is the TPS circuit is too high. There's too much voltage in the harness getting to that TPS sensor. PO121 is the range performance. The voltage is out of the range on the sensor and it just needs adjusted. So if you're in a side-by-side, just click the key on. It's gonna be really similar to the ATV and the operation you get for this. So you can turn your gauge on, press and hold the outer two buttons. It will bring you to the diagnostic menu. Select the diagnostic mode, then you can see your diagnostic mode in here. Then just cycle through here until you get to your TPS. Then you can see the voltage up here and you have this percentage here. So when we hit the throttle, it will go to 100% and we have 3.7 there on the voltage. So let it off, you have 0%, wide open throttle, you got 100%. Then you can just cycle back through, exit out of here, and then exit out of there. It'll pop back up the original gauge. If that range is out of spec, then you're probably gonna get this code PO121. On your Wildcat, the range should be reading between 0.45 to 0.55 volts. And at that wide open throttle, you should be reading up to approximately 3.6, which is slightly lower than my ATV here. Now the TPS needs 5 volts from the battery to operate correctly. And if you have the adjustment tool, you'll need to verify that it is putting 5 volts to the TPS sensor when you test it. But what if you don't have a TPS adjustment tool? Can you adjust it without it? Honestly, I don't know why you would need $100-some tool to do this unless it's just so you can adjust the TPS with the tool and having your machine turned off. Because if I'm reading the manual right, all the adjustment tool is doing is allowing you to adjust your TPS with the machine turned off, with your gauge turned off. If you're unplugging your TPS, plugging in that tool, and you're adjusting it with that. So if anything, it's allowing you to get that next decimal of fine tuning in your adjustment. But if you just use your gauge, I think you'd be able to do this without the tool. So let's see if we can do that. Now on your side-by-side, you're looking for that little sensor on the side of your throttle body. Is going to be up near the cylinder head of your engine. There should be a throttle body going from that. You've got a little sensor plug on the side of it, and that is your TPS sensor right there. To get down to your TPS on an ATV, you remove the seat. And on this one, we have a Phillips bit to adjust. Now you should just be able to turn the gauge on, go to the diagnostic menu to get to the TPS settings, view the voltage on that, and I'm gonna adjust this down so it's 0.5. Then just loosen your adjustment screw, and then we'll just keep our eye on the gauge up here and adjust it very finely because it's a very sensitive sensor, and then just adjust it to the correct operating range. Towards the back, it's gonna go up, and then move it towards the front. We're gonna go down, 0.5 right there. All right, then I'm just going to tighten my screw back down once I've got it in the range there, and then test my throttle, make sure it's 100%, down to 0%. And I was able to do this all without the TPS adjustment tool. What that TPS adjustment tool is going to do is give you more decimals over here for you to be able to fine tune adjust it. That's essentially all that tool is doing while your ATV is off. Now to correct the codes PO122 and 123, you can test your voltage on the TPS plug to make sure it's getting that 5 volts. If you're not getting it, then go down the wiring harness, inspect it along there for any loose or worn wires, make sure all your grounds are good, and just go along inspecting everything. You can unplug and plug in all your connections again, cleaning them up, and go ahead and dielectric grease them, put them back together to make sure you're getting good connections. Now, anytime you've done anything on your throttle body, plugging, unplugging those plugs on there, you're gonna need to resync the EFI system. I have a video on how to do that. You can check it out here. Now when you turn it on and start it up, you shouldn't have any codes on there since you've corrected the issue. And you start it up, your idle should be fine. Another thing to check while you're doing the TPS is obviously that's connected to your throttle. So you're going to want to check your throttle, make sure the cable's working good, the function's working good. You don't have anything bound up on your Wildcats and Prowlers. You have a foot pedal instead of your thumb throttle like on the ATVs. On the Wildcats, I do know there's a little bushing behind the gas pedal that when you press the throttle, it'll sometimes bunch up a little bit. It kind of pushes out. The quick fix for this is just to put a little zip tie on there, just enough to hold that bushing that it doesn't squish out, and it will hold that bushing a little more rigid. Hopefully this video helped you out. You get your TPS set and adjusted on your Arctic Cat, whether it's an ATV, UTV, side by side, whatever you want to call them, on your Arctic Cat machine. See you guys in the next one. Need a push.